Top 10 AFC teams going into the season. Colin Cowherd is going to list his. I will, of course, react to it and list mine. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. The AFC is deep, okay? The AFC is real deep, okay? The AFC loaded. Top 10 is going to be hard because you're going to have to make some tough decisions here. Now, we're doing this after the draft. We're doing this after Lamar Jackson goes back to Baltimore, which we predicted, of course, on this channel. So there's a lot of moving and shaking. Where do you put Miami? How good do you think the Jets are with Rodgers? Cincinnati or Buffalo? A lot of question marks. Okay, I will say, I think it'll be. If I was doing it, which I will be, I would have Kansas City 1. I would have Cincinnati 2. I would have Baltimore 3. I would have Buffalo 4. And I would have, I think I would have my Miami Dolphins 5. Now, I'll tell you a team I would definitely have higher than I think most is Denver. I think the Broncos will be sweet. I think Sean Payton, Russell Wilson will figure it out. I almost put them top 5, but I did not.
The AFC top 10. Okay. Number 1, Kansas City.
Yes.
They started 4 rookies in the Super Bowl, 10 different.
You can just put them number 1 every year Patrick Mahomes exists. Every year Patrick Mahomes is taking snaps, put them number 1. That's really it. I mean, it's that simple. It's the Tom Brady and New England thing. As long as Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are there, that's all you need.
Rookies played, they'll all be better. Super Bowl 3 of the last 4 years. Matt Nagy returns as OC. They went and got another edge rusher and a receiver, a weapon for Mahomes. No reason they shouldn't be number 1.
Yep.
The Bengals at 2.
Same thing. As long as Joe Burrow is in Cincinnati, and as long as they have the same weapons, put them 2. That's it. Kansas City, Cincinnati, 1 and 2. Burrow, at some point, will be an MVP. You know, like, all these things will happen. He's so good. He is franchise changing. The franchise has changed. Cincinnati went from being a laughingstock to perennially a Super Bowl contender. Yes, this is an easy, squeezy, lemon peasy 1-2.
Like the Chiefs, see a trend. They got an edge rusher and another receiver in the draft. They also got Orlando Brown left tackle. They got rid of a couple safeties. That tells me the franchise is smart with their money and knows what to do. You don't need great safeties. Burrow is the most sacked quarterback over the last 2 years. They've got to protect.
Yeah, they're improving the offensive line. They've done that this offseason.
They can ill afford injuries up front, but Burrow and Mahomes are the 2 best quarterbacks in the league. No reason it's not Chiefs-Bengals to start.
Yes.
My surprise team in the AFC, and I've been reluctant the last 2 years to embrace them, the Chargers. I think
the Chargers are one of those teams where it's getting real close. I think I said this last year. It's getting real close to that, like, put up or shut up. It's getting where, like, every year it's like, man, they have Austin Eckler, they have Justin Herbert, they have all these guys, they have all these weapons. They're Khalil Mack, they have Bosa, they have all these guys, and then they go 500 and don't make the playoffs or lose in the first round. Like, it's the same thing. So this is the year, I think, where they have to achieve. They have to be a 12, 13 win team. They have to win make a shot at winning the division. They have to win a playoff game. Justin Herbert has to ascend to that Joe Burrow level. Justin Herbert and Burrow get compared a lot. I've compared them a lot, but he's got to do what Burrow did if he wants to remain in that conversation. So this is high for sure, but talent-wise, it's hard to argue. Results-wise, we'll see.
Kellen Moore was a huge gaffe by the Cowboys letting him go. What did they do? Like the Chiefs and Bengals. Top 2 picks, wide receiver weapon for Herbert, and a great edge rusher. See a trend in the AFC. They also get their great left tackle back, Rashawn Slater, J.C. Jackson back at corner. Last year, they didn't have as many big plays as they wanted. That's a lot to me about the coordinator. Chargers rise to 3. Number 4, let's not go crazy on the Bills.
Okay, so same place I had the Bills. The Bills power rating last year was messed up, I think, because the Bills last year, they were power rated through the moon, but when you looked at them, it was really just Josh Allen. Like, how far could Josh Allen drag a team? This team is so dependent on Josh Allen. And I think we're now starting to see a little bit of question marks around Sean McDermott, around kind of the offense, around the scheme, around all that stuff. It's just whatever. If Josh Allen's the MVP, yeah, this team can win the Super Bowl. But if Josh Allen is just above average, this team can't do it. That's just it.
They were 13-3. They've added Damian Harris, a running back. They moved up to get the best tight end in the draft, Dalton Kincaid. I think they're fine. I do think O-line still becomes an issue. 31st in yards to the tight end. Now they've got 2. Dawson Knox I like as well. Let's not overstate their regression. They're still the most talented team in their division with a superstar quarterback and a nasty front seven.
Yeah, I agree. Let's not throw them to the wayside. Like they're still a contender, but I think 4 makes sense for them.
Number 5, a team I think could end up as the number 1 seed because of their awful division.
The number 1 seed. If Jacksonville winning the most games in the AFC would be shocking. But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to like what Jacksonville was building last year. They came on strong. And I always think it's interesting whenever, and Colin's not really doing this, but I always think it's interesting whenever a team, is bad, comes on strong to just kind of be mediocre, like to just kind of be bang average. And then all of a sudden people crank up the expectations to where it's like this team, like the idea that the Jackson was bad at the beginning of last year. And then, they kind of explode and they get better at the end. Trevor Lawrence is playing a lot better. And they're 9-8. We all know what happened. But then all of a sudden to go from that to, yeah, they'll probably be the 1 seed. It's like, maybe let's just try and now take a step towards being like above average. Take a step towards winning like 11 games. Take a step towards being more consistent. Things like that. To jump, and I've heard a lot of people doing this with Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is trending upwards. I think Trevor Lawrence is figuring things out. This will be a huge year for Trevor Lawrence, this will be a huge year as far as like defining who he is as a quarterback. Am I 100% sure that Trevor Lawrence will continue to progress? No. I think he could. I think he's trending that way. But if he stays the same or gets worse, then obviously Jacksonville is going to really struggle. So I wouldn't have them this high. I understand where Colin's coming from, but I would pump the brakes on Jacksonville until we're more sure of what Trevor Lawrence has going on.
The Jaguars. Don't forget Calvin Ridley. He'll be a 75 to 80 catch guy. The division's awful. Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, and Doug Peterson now in a second year. They've got all the money in, right? Last year it was new coach, all new players. They've let that bake. Bad division, wouldn't be shocked if they were the number 1 seed and a 13-win team.
The division is terrible. Like, that is a huge bonus for Jacksonville because, I mean, they get, 6 games that should be easy cakewalks.
Now it gets muddled, and I don't love any of these teams, but there's reason to like all of them. I think the Ravens are going to be really good. I think they became the fastest team. Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, Rashad Bateman comes back, and Lamar Jackson is in. So I'm putting the Ravens at 6. I love their coach. Todd Monken's the coordinator. We'll wait and see. The culture's great. The defense is strong. They're now as fast as anybody.
I think Baltimore's sweet. I mean, I think the Lamar Jackson stuff is kind of overshadowing this team, but they got Lamar some help. Like, they finally went and got him some pieces. Will that work out? I don't know. But as far as their offense, as far as their weapons, controversial, but I would say they're better roster-wise than the Bills. As far as just their offensive weapons. I would rather what they put on the field than the Bills. And they're very similar to the Bills. Lamar has to be the MVP. If Lamar is an MVP level player, the Ravens can win the AFC. If Josh Allen's an MVP level player, the Bills can too. But I like, Mark Andrews. I like what they have going on. Love the culture. I think the team is really good. I think, you never want to count out John Harbaugh. 6 is low. I would rather be the Ravens than the Jaguars, but I may be higher on Baltimore than a lot of people. I did just finish The Wire, so Baltimore feels like a second home.
In the division. and Lamar Jackson's happy. He wins 75% of his games, and they've really bolstered their wide receiving core, which was their weakness. I think a happy Lamar can vie for the division.
Yeah.
Now it gets really tight. The Broncos, and the reason I make them number 7 is they shored up their O-line with Mike McGlinchey and Ben Powers.
Yeah, I mean, this, like I mentioned earlier, I'm way higher on Denver than a lot of people. You cannot explain the difference between Sean Payton and Nathaniel Hackett. What Sean Payton brings to this team is hard to quantify. It's the same as going from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers. You're getting something. It's a whole new team. It's a whole new culture. It's a whole new everything. He's going to know what to do with Russell Wilson. He's going to know what to do with these guys. Sean Payton is going to turn this around. Sean Payton is not going to make this a 5-win team. Russell Wilson will not struggle again with Sean Payton. Denver will be good now. The problem is Denver competes in the AFC West. They compete with Kansas City. They compete with the Chargers. There's talent in there. So if they were in the AFC South, they could be the 1 seed according to Colin. I like Denver too. I would have them in my top 10. Good call, Colin.
But I think people forget how good running back Javonte Williams was, or Tim Patrick. They're both back, or their left tackle Garrett Bowles, or Randy Gregory.
I would agree that people have forgotten about, who did he say? Tim Patrick and Greg Bowles. I have no idea who those people are. So I probably wouldn't have started there with my defense of this ranking, but go off King.
A lot of big injuries to stars last year, and no team improves in coaching more than the Nathaniel Hackett to Sean Payton pivot.
Yes,
this is a very good team. They went and got another receiver, Marvin Mims. The offense will look completely different, and I already like the defense. Broncos at 7. 8, the Jets. I don't love Nathaniel Hackett, but Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, Hackett is one of those guys where better coordinator than head coach. Rodgers trusts him. Whatever. Rodgers would make me a good coordinator. The team is talented. We know how good they were last year, pieces of it. They're healthier. This team will be good. They will be competitive. They will not be 7-10. All right, there's no doubt about it. The big question is, how engaged is Rodgers? How good will Rodgers be? Will we get last year's Rodgers, or will we get an MVP level Aaron Rodgers? I think we'll get an MVP level Rodgers, because Rodgers is such a sociopath that he's such a chip on his shoulder kind of guy. I think this will be one of those, we get MVP level Rodgers, just so he can middle finger every single person who was talking bad about him last year. He is a maniac, no doubt about it. But to be as good as he is, I guess you kind of have to be. The Jets playing a tough division. It's not going to be a cakewalk for them. They are certainly improved. It's risky, I guess. I'm not sold on the head coach, on Salah. But I got to trust Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers does, so I'll go with it. I think most of their good players are young. Aaron's not necessarily great with young, but I do like Breece Hall. Elijah Vera Tucker is back on the O-line. I think he is an out.
Yeah, you got Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. These kind of guys, arguably, this is as talented offensively as a team as Rodgers has had in a long time.
Outstanding interior offensive lineman. They can ill afford to get a receiver hurt. Alan Lazard, he's good. He's not great. They're very young on offense. I want to see how Aaron Rodgers and Hackett make that work. My feeling is Aaron would be better in year 2 than year 1, but I have them at 8. Number 9, a team of stock I'm buying, is the Steelers. I thought they had the best.
I'm not sold on Kenny Pickett. I do like the Steelers. You got to trust Mike Tomlin. The Steelers, they are what they are. The Steelers know who they are. Tomlin can guide them basically with his eyes closed to a winning record. Kenny Pickett leaves a lot to be desired as far as I'm concerned, but I don't think I would have them above Miami. I think I would have Miami at 9, but I'm not going to crucify Colin over this pick.
Best draft. They had 3 needs. They nailed all of them. I think their first 5 picks will all play a lot. Also, at the end of the year, Kenny Pickett played pretty well. 5 TDs and 1 pick over his last 7 games. I don't know if he's a star.
That's terrible. I mean, that is so bad. Like 5 touchdowns in 7 games. Ooh, like I said, I'm not sold on Kenny Pickett. I think there's a lot to be desired. He seems like a super safe, very low ceiling kind of quarterback. I don't think he almost plays kind of like how Andy Dalton did last year. Like Kenny Pickett plays like a 14-year veteran who's just kind of trying to manage the game. Unless he takes a huge jump forward, I don't know. I mean, Colin just kind of said it, like 5 touchdowns in 7 games. That's not great.
But getting Broderick Jones, going out, upgrading the offensive line, Joey Porter, Darnell Washington, a blocking tight end. Mike Tomlin doesn't have losing seasons. Pittsburgh is sneaky good. I have him at 9. And number 10, Miami. I do not believe Tua plays 17 games, probably closer to 13 or 14. They did not address their offensive line. I think their number 1 acquisition, Jalen Ramsey and Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, Fangio's big, no doubt about it.
They will be a much better defensive team. But if Tua's your quarterback with concussion concerns, I'm a little bothered they didn't attack the offensive line. So there is my top 10.
I mean, I think Tua, I'm not a brain doctor, so it's hard for me to just label Tua as like he will be out. He will get hurt. Tua's good. I think Tua's kind of underrated. Like he's almost a meme where because he's left-handed, because he's kind of smaller, because he gets concussions, people kind of downplay how good he is when he plays. Tua is real good. Mike McDaniel is a real good coach. So I think another year of that. Tyreek Hill, Colin didn't even mention, but Tyreek Hill can make an argument he's the best receiver in the NFL, certainly in the conversation. Miami's sweet. You can't go into a season. I don't think it's fair to judge a team and be like, well, the quarterback will probably get a concussion at some point, so you got to factor that in. Like we don't know that, you can't factor in things like that. So right now, at this point in the offseason, you just got to take the team, look at the roster, and see what they can do. Miami at their highest level, Miami can be really good. They can certainly be better than the Steelers. So I like Miami a lot. I think they'd be in the same. I mean, I've already kind of gave you my rankings, but I think they're in that same ballpark as the Ravens and that like second batch of AFC teams. I think the first batch is Kansas City and Cincinnati. The second batch is probably just Buffalo. And then there's that next batch of the Chargers, the Dolphins, the Ravens, and anyone in there, at any given moment could be better than the others.
10. I love my first 5. KC, Cincy, Chargers.
If I was changing just these 10 teams, I would go KC, Cincinnati. I'd go KC, Cincinnati, Baltimore at 3, Buffalo at 4, Miami at 5, Denver at 6. Then I would go the Chargers at 7. Chargers at 6, Denver at 7. Jacksonville at 8, Jets at 9, Steelers at 10. That's how I would do these 10 teams right here. Let me know in the comments below how you would rank the AFC. Who are the top 10 teams in the AFC? Drop it down in the comments below. Where was I right? Where was I wrong? What teams am I too high on? And what teams am I too low on? Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate every single view, every single like, every single comment, and I will see you in the next video.